We are recording. KeyPleb, welcome to the podcast.
Glad to be here. Thank you.
No, it's my pleasure, and very excited to be hosting your first ever podcast, which is absolutely awesome. Whether it's their first podcast or their 1,000th podcast, that was the first one I ever did. So cheers to that. What are you most excited about in terms of what you're working on at the moment?
The most exciting thing is a fresh one that I just came up by playing with AI tools. And the most exciting thing that we're launching on the third Wednesday of September, it's going to be a monthly workshop. It's called Vibe Coding on Nostr. I still should ask around to see if it's a good name, because maybe I was actually considering to call it Vibe Coding on Bitcoin. Because now with all these AI tools like Shakespeare, shout out to Alex Gleason from Soapbox, they build a really cool tool to vibe code for non-coders like myself.
Wow.
So a new workshop is launching for Code Orange Developer School, and I'm quite excited to that. Our workshops are quite organic as well. They change as technology evolves, as demand changes. I can give you an example of our reading club. We had 4 months of reading club. We were going to Cypherpunk Manifesto. And these workshops, or reading club, I should say, it evolved into privacy workshops. So really hands-on, Fedi, eCash, how to have private payments, how to transact anonymously, because that's what cypherpunks would be proud of, right? So yeah, very exciting. New demand, new tools coming out, like AI tools, and we are incorporating this into workshops on a monthly basis for the adoption to go, right? For hyper Bitcoinization, and we love spending time
cool.
with Bitcoiners.
And as I reflect, so I quit a career as a shipbroker in 2016 September. I did that role for a year and a half in 2021, 2022. And when I think back to the engineers that I was sitting with then, AI was just kind of coming through, but it wasn't anything like it is today, especially in terms of like what I, as a non-engineer, could get my hands on. I couldn't build anything myself, basically. You could potentially build a Squarespace website and you could bullet a couple of things together. The playing field of entrepreneurship has just shifted. So let's spend some time thinking about what that actually means. For those who don't know what vibe coding is, let's kick off there. And I love this idea of the tools that are available to us are altering, and therefore opportunities are changing.
Great. So vibe coding is a new term. I had to look it up, and Wikipedia says that it's Andrei Karpas. I forgot his name. Is from OpenAI, and he just termed this term vibe coding because now you can just simply talk to ChatGPT. Of course, there's other tools out there, and it can just help you code. So this prompting of ChatGPT is just big. I think this is a new thing that people should learn, and it just adds so much value that this vibe coding or prompting or asking any question about anything in your daily life is just so valuable. So vibe coding is you gotta kind of just feel the vibes of what you want to build, and you just tell the AI to build it. It's as simple as that. So coding means that you don't need to be a coder, right? So people save maybe 5 years of going to coding courses and all of these things, and of course it's still very valuable to be a coder, because then you can become a coder on steroids, much better coder with these AI tools. So that's what vibe coding is. It's very new.
So just to stop you there, KeyPleb. So it's literally about how you feel when they use the word vibe. I didn't know this either. So like we could be sitting down having a beer and be like, oh, this is feeling good. Let's have a crack at like creating this. It's really cool though, because it kind of brings a more, in some ways, like energetic experience to a heavy engineering space where like the engineering's figured out, you just got to tell it what to do.
Yeah.
Weird.
It's amazing. It's like building a house but asking robots to build it for you. You just say, hey, this is the architecture file. I just upload, this is how the villa should look like. Let's use these materials, right? And let's just build it. And they just build 24/7 overnight in 10 minutes or whatever it takes, right? So, and again, I think I always think ahead, because there's this guy, right? His name is Jeb Booth, and he wrote this book. And he says that it's exponentially getting better, right? By the way, we'll meet him at the conference on 5th of September. I know you're coming over as well, right? And he says that
maybe not.
Hey,
we'll cover that later.
Okay, fine. So Jeff says that it's exponential growth of technology, and vibe coding didn't exist a few months ago, and by the time they merge with robots, it's just going to be a different world, right? So more is coming. We're just at the beginning of technological kind of S curves and advancements. So we better spend as much time as possible learning these and these technologies. And I think that two most valuable technologies are Bitcoin and AI. So that's where I spend most of my time. That's where I spend when it comes to communities. I spend time with Bitcoiners like we are doing now, and also just trying to talk to AI every single day. It just provides value most commonly just for in terms of information. So it can be a psychiatrist, it can be like a lonely man's companion, right? It can be all the knowledge of the world is in your phone now, and you can just ask it, and you can do vibe coding. You can plan your holidays, right? You should ask ChatGPT, how can you make it to Bali with all your commitments and everything, and you'll come up with some good ideas, perhaps, right? So let's I try to use it every single day because it just saves so much time, just like holding Bitcoin. Productivity also falls into Bitcoiners' hands because everything is falling in price because technology is deflationary, and AI increases productivity, and that's why everything gets cheaper as long as you measure the world in Bitcoin. So that's what I just use technologies, and both of those two technologies, Bitcoin and AI, is just the most valuable, how I found out.
It's wild, isn't it? And yeah, to reflect on Jeff's book, it was very formative for me. And shout out to Jeff. He's been on a couple of my podcasts over the years, and I look forward to meeting him in person one day. But what we're describing is what he not only observed through his own startup journey, like the cost of building his real estate construction focused startup that he built. Like he could do that in half a day or something crazy now compared to 15 years ago, whenever he started doing that. And his observation he put so well in The Price of Tomorrow. And now once you pick up on that lens on the world, you start seeing it happening. And that's what we're describing here so brilliantly. To point out a couple of places in my life where AI has been fun recently. As a paying subscriber on Twitter, for some reason I quite like Grok. And I'm like, maybe they're not completely bastardizing my information as a paid subscriber. I don't know. But I've started using it a lot in replacement of what would have been a Google search. And it's really interesting because obviously it's turning the search business upside down. But some examples being, my wife and I are traveling, and to your point, like we're chucking in like, what's the best place to go at this time of year? Okay, we've got 3 young kids. Okay, we'd like an organic grocer. Okay, and it's like, and then it remembers what you've asked it, which is just mind-blowingly good compared to what would be a travel agent. You've got to trust their specific experience, or equally the trawling through websites in the past that you might have done. And the second area I wanted to mention is actually as an investor. One very specific example I used recently was I said to Grok, what is the opportunity cost of owning a family home in Australia over the next 5 years versus owning Bitcoin? And what came out was one of the most sophisticated and direct financial reports I've ever seen in my life that would have taken an insane amount of time to do properly. And it was like, here's the average house price. You could go in and pay full cash for an 800 grand house. And actually, that means that, you might get this return and you get about 150 grand uptick over a 5-year period. looking online, I can see that Kathy Wood's ARK fund is aiming for $1 million Bitcoin on 2030. That might be the bull case. We'll take this other statistic here, which is like a bear case, and we'll middle it out. Your return, if you put 800 grand into Bitcoin, is going to be X. What you might want to do is a hybrid approach where you take debt, you go to 20% down deposit on a house, and then you put the rest into Bitcoin. And you're like, oh my God, that's the best investment plan I've seen in ages. And it's come out of an AI.
I can actually, so I did a similar analysis while my brother was visiting Bali. I'm in Bali at the moment. I was thinking, how can I get more Bitcoin, right? So in order to get more Bitcoin, you must provide more value and get paid for it, right? So my experience as an estate agent in London, I was there for 6 years.
Oh, that's right.
That's
I
why.
remember now.
Right. And I was doing Airbnb business as well on the side. So we did it very successfully. And I thought, hey, I should do this in Bali as well. There's a landlady who has a brand new villa, and my brother, we were sitting on a roof and saying, hey, we should take this villa and we should just make some active income, right? And then I say, will it make more than 45% IRR or return on investment per year? Then will it make more than 45%? Because that's what Bitcoin makes on average in the last 16 years. And in the run club, I speak to my friend, another friend, and they say that if you reach 15% return on investment in Bali per year, you're doing pretty good. If it's 20%, it's quite exceptional. All the costs and money up front and all of this. And I did an analysis with ChatGPT at that time, a couple of months ago, and it's basically 20 pages in, opportunity cost, as you mentioned, right? It's just simply better off to just hold Bitcoin, as simple as that. But then my brother says, wait a minute, but you must do something, right? Well, yes, sometimes sitting on your hands and doing nothing is actually the most difficult job you have to do, right? Because that opportunity cost. So yes, we need to provide value. This is what we do with Code Orange Developer School, to provide value, educate, and tell the secret, because we know the secret, right? So we want to tell everybody the secret. And also vibe coding, reading clubs and all the in-person workshops that we do at the Bitcoin House Bali and elsewhere. So yes, opportunity cost is big. Another example is my girlfriend. She bought a piece of land for $10,000 2.5 years ago, and now for the same amount of money, she could buy 4 lands. So she could be 4 times larger land. Same happened with my scooter as well. I bought a scooter 1.5 years ago, and it dropped in price by 75%. So now I can have almost 3 scooters. And so same as when my brother, we're sitting on the roof and it says, hey, we should buy a piece of land. Why don't you own a villa here in Bali? It's because why would I own a villa if I know it's falling in price? So yeah, 2 years down the line, it will be cheaper. I remember you were actually also considering or looking around when we met in 2023 at the Bitcoin conference. I believe you were looking around or just toying with an idea as an investor. Hey, what's it like to be living in Bali or investing in Bali? So if anybody would have bought it 2 years ago, they would have lost money. So maybe it's a good thing you didn't buy. So I just try to think in Bitcoin terms as much as I can, because that's
very
reality.
Powerful.
It is.
Yeah, that was great fun. No, thank you for having me. I was the MC of the first Bitcoin conference in Bali, the Indonesia Bitcoin conference, of which you were a co-organizer. Awesome to meet you there in person, and you guys put on a great experience, which tees me up nicely to ask about. Well, and I should caveat, I didn't buy a villa in Bali for lots of other reasons, most of which you've touched on, which is you're just better off owning Bitcoin. And we realized, just as a side note, we didn't want to live there all year round. We'd like to go on holiday there. And therefore, it's like, why would you get physical exposure to the country when you don't want to be there all the time? I think there's a different discussion to be had around your primary place of residence in a family home. But we'll park that and just continue with the conference side of things. So you already mentioned that you're going to be hosting another conference later this year. And Diana actually came on the podcast, a month or 2 ago now, talking about it. So how are things going for the preparation of that? And yes, to confess, I spoke to Diana about doing some MC stuff this time around, and came back to her afterwards pretty quickly being like, I don't really know where I'm going to be and I can't commit. So I doubt I will be there. Saying that, I won't be a million miles away. So at the last minute, maybe I'll book something. But how are preparations going for the conference this time around?
So Diana is actually nailing it so well. She has a big team working behind, and she's
Cool.
just smashing it. A lot of proof of work being done. I can see how much work they are putting in,
Wow.
and I'm sure it's going to be an exciting conference. Now, from Code Orange Developer School, we have workshops coming up. So we'll do the sovereign individual workshop. It actually touches a lot on the sovereign individual book that you kind of live by a little bit too, by thinking where should you have a tax residency and live a regular residency and also investments, etc. Right? The book says you should have 3 passports just in case, right? Taxation hits you or some kind of volcano erupts. But yeah, so we'll have a workshop at the conference. Also, we will have a mastermind. So what is a mastermind? We had it last year in Chiang Mai, and it's community leaders and community builders. They come together, and we have a lot of fun in one day talking about how can we become better community leaders. So that's what we will do as well as part of Code Owners Developer School. But yeah, overall, there's a lot of work to put a conference together. And I was involved in it 2 years ago with Dare. Shout out to Dare as well.
Shout out to
What
Dare.
an amazing, yes. And yeah, I just cannot wait. It should be exciting.
And so let's spend some time talking about the Code Orange Developer School then. This is a new project of yours that we haven't spoken through before. So at the very, very start, like, where did you come up with the idea? Why is it something you want to spend your time on? And what we've already covered is the extraordinary or even miraculous tool that Bitcoin is in terms of purchasing power. And what it also does is it makes us value our time differently. So when someone makes a commitment to something, to me, that's an extraordinary signal that they really value it. So why are you building your developer school?
Because I want to spend time with Bitcoiners. There's no way back. I don't want to go into the fiat world. I just try to spend as much time as I can in a new system, which is honest, based on truth, on abundance. Everything gets cheaper, for example, and life just gets better. There was also, so when I Bitcoin Indonesia and Bitcoin House Bali, I was working on a developer program over there, and that developer program is just very nerdy developers coming together on Discord and trying to build something. But also there's a lot of work to do in terms of going through a 10-week program called Decoding Bitcoin. So we've been going through this program. We finished 2 cohorts. It's a lot of work to actually get this done, and it just automatically evolved into Code Orange Developer School because there is very high demand for advanced Bitcoiners. So when I say developer school, it could also be Bitcoiner school, because we've noticed that a lot of these developers, they come from fiat world as a fiat developer switching into a Bitcoiner, right? So there's a lot of ethos, culture, basic education in terms of blockchain trilemma, right? Well, what is the difference between crypto and Bitcoin? And it just naturally evolved into this new project, which is Code Orange Developer School. Shout out to Diana as well. She came up with this name. Thanks, Diana. So yeah, just naturally spending time with Bitcoiners and getting into more advanced stuff. For example, you have when you go to a meetup, I know that GP is organizing, and the team behind in Sydney is organizing meetups. There's various levels of Bitcoiners there. You have cypherpunks, but you also have newbies, completely those who don't know about inflation or censorship, right? So the school is more for Bitcoiners who are already in a rabbit hole. So we spend time talking about Bitcoin mining, how to set up a BitHax or an ASIC. We go into privacy as well, That's very big. Advanced self-custody is really, really big. Can you sleep well at night, right? Are you afraid of a $5 wrench attack if somebody kidnaps you in Bali or anywhere else? How much Bitcoin would you lose in that case? So this is more advanced, and the developer school is not only for developers. It's also for Bitcoiners who are just curious. You don't need to be a coder. Now you can vibe code. So that's how it kind of evolved into Code Orange. And you also mentioned, go ahead.
Go on, Pete.
Yeah, so I'm just thinking now about what you asked about time. How come I spend time in Bitcoin, and how come? I mean, yeah, I had real estate background, right? I have a state agency, worked at Foxtons, a great company, then worked at Kraken. Yes, it's closer to Bitcoin, but it's still, let's not call it fiat, right? It's because it's a really strong Bitcoin exchange. But there's no way back. I just want to spend as much time as I can with Bitcoiners. Even if I make less money, it's still much more fun and more rewarding. And it's just so wide. Like we're just at the very beginning of the. It's like being on the internet in 1993 or five, right? It's just all these things are going to be built on top of it. So I don't have time to focus on any other crypto projects or any other like Airbnb businesses, what I used to do, or a state agency. It's just a wide ocean of possibilities. It's a new world, like going into America hundreds of years ago. There's just so many opportunities out there. So I just spend time there, and the school is just a really good way to spend that time with like-minded people. Teacher learns the most, right? So as a teacher, I learn a lot as well, preparing for these workshops, learning about vibe coding, Cypherpunk's manifesto. We go into the weeds of culture and ethos. Even our T-shirt has a Genesis block at the back, so cool. It's just great. So I'm flying to conferences. There's going to be 3 conferences in the next month. So Baltic Honey Badger next week. Then we have Bitcoin Asia in Hong Kong. I'll share some information about our Code Orange Developer School there, and also the Bali conference in Bali on 5th of September. So very exciting. I travel only for conferences and hang out with Bitcoiners.
And it's so amazing how it slowly but surely one's mind share gets, if you think back to the days when you were an estate agent for Foxtons and how much time in the day you spent thinking about Bitcoin and how you might build on Bitcoin, how you might save with it, and how your life is improving with it. It's a small fraction, if zero, of your day. And now you look at how much, time and effort and energy goes into it. To spend a little more time on the school then, one thing I've been looking for, and maybe this is it, is, and I referenced already my experience working in startups, and I went through some accelerator programs. I made some early stage equity investments, and I've been a big fan from a distance of what they have built in Madeira called the sovereign engineering cohorts. And it's kind of like a accelerator program, but on top of Bitcoin with Nostr at its very core. Equally, there is the Wolf Accelerator Program that's focused on Lightning, which comes out of New York. There's Pleb Lab. There isn't really anything that I've seen in Asia thus far, which I would include Australia, that is of any serious gravitas. I wonder, when you have your workshops, like, it struck me earlier when you mentioned this, 100 years ago, the technologies in the hands of entrepreneurs and engineers and builders and visionaries was different, and they built different businesses. Today, we have a different set of tools that we can draw from. And so the workshops that you're running now will be different in 12 months' time. They'll be different again in 2 years' time. And if it follows Jeff Booth's trajectory, as we are seeing, they're going to have more and more tools. So how commercial are some of the people that are coming through your program? And is there an emphasis on building products that actually could create successful businesses? And then the end of that being is there ever financing options for those companies? because Bali's obviously already a very popular digital nomad hub. And I love going there because the restaurants are great as well. The sun shines all the time. And it would be an excellent place within Asia to sit as a kind of sovereign individual and build companies and finance things. And you can have, a fund based in Dubai that builds businesses in Bali. All that stuff can be figured out. Yeah, so I'm intrigued as the kind of person that's been attracted to the program so far.
Right. So let's think of a funnel, right? So you have normies, or just regular people, regular curious, somebody who comes into the meetups or workshops. Then they go through the funnel. Then they become a Bitcoiner because they get to meet Bitcoiners. They can see their lives getting better because they save and sound money. And then maybe they'll start running a node. Maybe they'll start doing some mining as well. But that's the funnel is already getting narrow in terms of who is going to be in those advanced workshops or join our study cohorts. So then from that funnel, if you go through, then you have somebody extremely talented like Roaring Stars here in Indonesia. Really cool guy, very smart. He builds some tools, and then such people would go to a Wolf Accelerator program or any more advanced schools. So Chain Code Labs, things like this. So I would say that Code Orange Developer School is targeting more early developers or just regular Bitcoiners who want to keep on building. Yes, we might come across talented individuals, talented developers. I even promised Adam Jonas from Chain Code Labs to be a talent scout. So we're scouting for talent. We found one talent in Indonesia so far, more to come. And then we just refer them to more advanced study cohorts, like the sovereign individual builders on Nostr. I saw their website actually. Gigi, I think, is involved in there as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Andre as well, as far as I understand it, in Madeira. And these are more advanced, so real advanced builders. Code Orange Developer School is not as advanced because there is better programs out there which we refer to. Even Bitshala in India, they have really smart developers out there. So yeah, when it comes to the funnel, we have Bitcoiners who are curious to learn how to vibe code, decoding Bitcoin study cohort for 10 weeks. We want technical people, usually regular developers or somebody who really wants to learn how to code. So a bit of a balance, but I would say that we are targeting a little bit more, not somebody who is going to be building, a $10 million per company, but more like a curious Bitcoiner who wants to really know ins and outs and start vibe coding and also build. So the reason why is because I'm actually a non-coder myself, and we would need to have such people who would know and get into more technical things. So we actually pay developers. Shout out to Anmol. We pay him because he has technical expertise. So he's one of our teachers. And but yes, when it comes to big projects or big company or investors or VCs, looking around, not yet. We start slow. We're starting with this funnel and get Bitcoiners interested in building and technical people, regular developers, switching into Bitcoin. That's the purpose of Code Orange Developer School.
It's very cool. And there is no rush, right? It doesn't, you don't have to, don't need to have a nice, like, bow wrapped on this kind of deal flow every quarter for people to, buy equity. That doesn't have to be the case by any means, but it's very cool to hear what you're building, because I would then automatically think of them as people that are potentially a great hire for the existing startup ecosystem. And most of the businesses that you see that are trying to raise funds, they might be based in Switzerland or they might be based in the States, but they have a remote work culture. So they'll be picking up talent all over the place. And so it's a 10-week cohort, and someone obviously is then a paying customer of that. So they pay you to come and do the cohort.
Good question. It's free and open source. Nobody pays out. It's completely free. Wow. We're based, especially how it's a completely different business model. With the Bitcoin House Bali and Bitcoin Indonesia, we were looking to become a marketing agency for Bitcoin businesses, but we couldn't really achieve the amount of money. People were not willing to pay as much, and we discovered that the business model of such is actually based on grants and donations. So we're donation based as well as grant based. Um, this is just the nature of open source development, and many developers rely on grants. Many education initiatives rely on grants, but good news is that it's free for anybody to join. So, yep, our 10-week program called Decoding Bitcoin is free of charge. Reading clubs are free of charge. Any vibe coding workshops are also free of charge. It took us a while to actually discover this, but this is the way of education, especially on Bitcoin. So yeah, anybody listening, sign
that's
up.
very
It's
cool.
free of charge.
Diana actually started teaching me about it, and it struck me as being pretty similar to the kind of traditional non-profit space, in that there are, well, without getting too into the weeds, as to like the fiat funded money printer beast that is, things like the United Nations that are then funding charities in different parts of the world. But this is like the very, very niche area of Bitcoin that we all love. One super active group, obviously, being OpenSats, that people take grants from very often. And you as a donor might be looking to make a donation to the Bitcoin ecosystem in general, and you could make a donation to OpenSats that then distribute it to a number of different projects. Human Rights Foundation also has another that's doing lots of cool stuff in the space. But it's cool though, because incentive is everything. And this is just a different business model. Like, why not do it this way around? If you can get your time paid for and the resources you require, and in some ways it's a potentially more streamlined way of promoting and increasing the benefits of Bitcoin this way around, rather than being like, okay, I've got 10 spots on a cohort and everyone's got to pay. And what's interesting is then what the alumni of the cohorts go and build.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where the value
Let's see.
is, right? Yeah.
Exactly. Because we're making the network more decentralized and more secure by building those tools, by increasing security, by coming up with new ways of secure, like a multi-sig, right? Or some sort of Nostr development, or maybe eCash. eCash, you cannot really like charge eCash wallet users to use eCash. And then, but those developers, they need to be paid, right? So they rely on grants. It's just the way it is, right? So, and then imagine you're being all in on Bitcoin, like I am, and then we would want it to be more decentralized and more secure. So with Code Orange Developer School, we have a goal to double the amount of full nodes running by 2030. So we have around 12,000 nodes now. Maybe let's ramp up those numbers. So it's keeping it secure. If a person is all in, like Michael Saylor, for example, he would ensure that things are secure. They keep on being decentralized. The multi-sig or whatever security measure they have needs to be built. So yeah, we just and hopefully such people would donate, and they are actually donating to these organizations like you mentioned, Href or OpenSats, Brink, etc., Block as well. So yeah, we're lucky to have them to actually get some funding to do this free work for others to enjoy, because we want to drive adoption. We just want Bitcoin to be accepted everywhere. We want everybody to be living on a Bitcoin standard, and we need to, of course, have those loud voices. And yes, we need some economic energy. You mentioned incentives are everything. So thankfully, we are being incentivized by kind people in these organizations to drive Bitcoin adoption, because otherwise it's just fiat. It's sort of fiat or Bitcoin, and we want Bitcoin to win, and it's winning. So great to be in this place. Yeah, it's nice
It's
to be.
inspiring, isn't it? I was reminded when you were talking then, when you mentioned the word decentralized, of a extraordinary moment of clarity when I came to MC the conference in Bali. which was, fuck, if you're going to kill Bitcoin, you got to kill every single one of us in this room. And it was just not that obvious to me as I got deeper down the rabbit hole and got closer and closer to it, that yes, it is a extraordinary feat of engineering that, I mean, Satoshi, whoever he, she, they are, absolute genius of the highest class, that then had the most charitable thing someone's ever done just disappear. Like, arguably, like how do you walk away from that much wealth? Like, how does someone do that that's sane and not cave to human greed? Like, it's an extraordinary gift to humanity. But on top of that, yes, it's basically a software system that eats physical energy and stores value over time, and you can send, receive, etc. But it's also then, shout out to the Wizard of Oz, the first time I really heard this talked about, it's like Bitcoiners are the social layer that make the whole thing stick. And so there I was in Bali, and I was looking around me, and most of my Bitcoin journey to that point had been based in Australia. I'd been to a bunch of Aussie events, and I was suddenly in Southeast Asia, and you had people who were there from Japan, people there from Vietnam, people there from Indonesia, people there from Malaysia, people from Singapore and the Philippines. And they were all building on this thing. Thailand, Piria, for example, like huge audience in Thailand, had already hosted Bitcoin Bangkok. And you're like, my God. And they were all building on Bitcoin for different reasons. And they all had different problems to solve. And it solved those problems in different ways for all of them in such a manner that they're like, yep, this is the thing to do. And so when I see, what you just described in the Code Orange Developer School, it's just another part of that decentralization play where the more people that learn about this thing, the stronger it becomes. And that's not obvious on the surface.
Hey, look, we are Bitcoin because we are the node runners. So if you want to change Bitcoin, you have to convince us to upgrade our nodes. So yeah, decentralization and security relies on Bitcoiners. And this is why physical communities are so important. One of our goals at Code Orange is to inspire more Bitcoin houses. Why not have a Bitcoin cafe? Or you're in LA now, right? But I believe you're in Byron Bay in Australia. And then what's it like over there? Is there a little Bitcoin cafe? Is there a Bitcoin caravan, right? Or a Bitcoin beach or anything like this, right? So it's easier to spin one up than anybody would think. And I think we just need to drive this adoption and make the network more decentralized. It has to be dispersed everywhere. It's a lot of fun to hang out with Bitcoiners. What we have at the Bitcoin House is magical. It's amazing. I go there every single week. There's an event happening. We get more people. We have business opportunities there. We have a lot of fun, movie nights, games nights, Bitcoin for beginners. There's just so much happening. So we should, see more of this. And that's why we have workshop guides. If you ever wanted to run a node workshop in Byron Bay, for example, then everything is open source. It's on GitHub. We have slides. We have all the guides. We just make it easy. And this is the way how we, as Code Orange Developer School, provide value to Bitcoiners. And that's just drives adoption. My bag is safer, and everybody is feeling more confident in Bitcoin space. So yeah, social hubs, very important, and we just drive adoption this way. It's good fun to hang out with Bitcoiners as we are doing now.
Yeah, and I definitely got another kind of lasting impression that I remember is when I went to the Bitcoin Bush Bash in Beechworth, which is a small ex-gold mining town in northern Victoria, just north of Melbourne. And there'd been all these crazy lockdowns that had been happening in the center of Melbourne. I suddenly was in a car driving 4 hours. I felt freedom for the first time in a while, and got there, and then suddenly was speaking to all these people. I was like, oh my God, I'm not completely insane, because so much of your time has been spent researching online and listening to podcasts. When you meet people in person that have moved the majority of their wealth across into Bitcoin and life has started improving for them quite rapidly, it's incredibly empowering because you're like, oh my God, I'm A, not insane, but B, look, all these other people are doing it. To answer your question about Bahrain, I'd love to see more, and just Australia in general, I'd love to see more Bitcoin adoption. There's a number of reasons why I don't think it's happened, but there is a meetup that happens once a month in Bahrain. Shout out to Lazarus who runs that, and they do some workshops and things like that for people that come in with questions at a very, very beginner level. It's one of the most freedom oriented parts of Australia, the Northern Rivers, so Northern New South Wales, and in some ways, a lot of people that are already there think like Bitcoiners. They just haven't really figured out that the money is a big part of what they're working towards. So there's farmers markets that happen every week, and I've seen discussions about whether or not you could have a Bitcoin stand at each farmers market and try and get some merchant adoption through those events and things like that. But it's manpower, right? People are stuck in their fiat jobs, and as much as they would love to do this, they're still like, I've just got to stack some more sats and focus on that first, and it will happen over time. But yeah, I always encourage people to get to physical events if they can, because it makes a big difference. And I'd also then love to see more of these kind of accelerator style programs built where actually it's all about commercial opportunities. And now that you can vibe code, it's like, well, you got to kind of start at the problem. What's the problem someone's got? Okay, is it actually something we should solve? Okay, and then it's like, how could you do it? And suddenly you could start spitting out prototypes in half a day and see what floats and doesn't float using some kind of social media program. That'd be very cool, but I don't think we're quite there yet.
Slowly, right? Those meetups from Lazarus, they evolve into workshops. Then they evolve into perhaps a Bitcoin house, Byron Bay house, whatever is, and then maybe just a regular person comes in and learns about Bitcoin, and he or she has a coffee shop, right? And then if he or she becomes so hyped that it becomes a Bitcoin coffee house. So
and you
they
suddenly
take
get
time,
a Bitcoin
right?
accepted here sign and stuff like that.
Exactly. And then they invite
True.
you to record a podcast or so, and there's maybe a studio or maybe a recording studio, some guitar players, so it becomes a Bitcoiner, and he says, hey, I have a mic as well. Hey, Jake, do you want to come and hang out? And it just sky's the limit. It's a very interesting story how they just basically come up out of nowhere organically by spending time with Bitcoiners and just really having that mission, that belief, that understanding about Bitcoin. And yeah, it's just very organic. That's how Bitcoin House was born, completely randomly. We met the owner, Iwan, at Noano. Very cool venue. Anybody visiting in Bali for September for conference, for example, in a month, come to Noano. Very cool place. And we met him over there. We orange pilled him. He liked us so much that he said, hey, you know what? I like your community. I have some space at my co-working space. I think I would like to give you some space. So that's how Bitcoin House started, just completely naturally, organically, from meeting one person at an event. And so, yeah, meetups become workshops. Workshops can become schools or Bitcoin houses. So, yeah, I'm sure it will happen everywhere.
It will. And tell me, I'm intrigued as to the decision-making process to be in Bali in the first place. So you already touched on being an estate agent in London. How did you end up in Bali?
Great question. So during COVID, I was still in Bali. That's where it all started, actually. I listened to a Michael Saylor podcast, and he says the reason why you cannot afford a house is because people are using houses as money, because fiat pieces of paper are so becoming worth less and less that people are putting money in housing or maybe stocks or some kind of shiny yellow rocks. So yeah, so I was really hurting, and I thought, actually, I moved to Lithuania, my hometown, for half a year as well, and I wanted to rent an apartment in Vilnius, in capital of Lithuania. I looked up the prices, but I thought, wait a minute, for like 800 euros or 1,000 euros, you can get an apartment. Let me see what you can get in Southeast Asia, in Thailand, in Philippines, and in Bali. So I started researching, and I thought, oh wow, that's quite nice. I was flexible working at Kraken, so I could live from anywhere in the world and work from there as long as time zones work. And it's a sovereign individual thesis. It says that technology allows digital nomads, and digital nomads is a synonym for sovereign individual. A digital nomad uses technology to enhance their life and perhaps even do some geographic arbitrage. I make money in Bitcoin, or let's say British pounds, and I spend them in global South, where inflation has done much more damage, and in a way, like human time is slightly it's worth less, right? And of course, we're almost like I used to feel guilty by taking advantage of this kind of injustice of fiat system. I make money in a strong currency in British pound or Bitcoin, and I spend it in a piece of paper which is just a pink paper, which is just becoming worthless more and more. So decision making process, my money could just go more far in global South. And then I looked up these places such as Bali. It's top 3 location besides Portugal, Lisbon, I believe, and Chiang Mai. And then I was choosing between those 3 locations. And I've been to Bali once, maybe 7 years ago now. And I thought it's a safe space. I'm just gonna move there. Seems like really good vibes. They have coconuts, they have palm trees. It's cheaper than Europe.
Bit warmer as well.
And yeah, it's great. It's really, really nice here. So no plans on leaving. Life is minimalist but good, and that's the decision making to move from London. Also, during COVID, a lot of my friends moved out from London. Things started getting more expensive. There was less happy feeling about this place. It was just like, okay, fine. I had enough. I could move because I was location independent. So at the beginning of the podcast, you mentioned that you are location dependent and you're thinking perhaps where to move. And that's what Bitcoin allows you to do. Just like the book Sovereign Individual says that technology saves time and technology allows you to be sovereign individual, more nomadic perhaps, just to have more time to make your life better. That's why I'm in Bali. You just can get more with your money over here.
I love hearing stories like that because it's a real decision-making process that you A, made a decision, and B, have lived it. There's no, if you made the wrong call, you'd find out quite quickly and you'd have to alter course. I mean, we love going to Bali as a family and we'll definitely be spending some more time there in the future. I'm intrigued by that idea of feeling guilty for earning in a stronger currency and spending it somewhere where it goes further. What work did you do, or what moment was there that shifted that sense?
I just got used to it. I think that's it, right? I just got used to feeling guilty. Right. What can I say? It is what it is. I cannot change the world immediately, right? I cannot change this kind of modern day slavery in a way. Maybe it's too hard of a expression, but it kind of is, right? Because if fiat money is kind of theft based because somebody gets more money for when money is printed, goes at the top, and we are feeling the price, right? I can feel how inflation really ramped up. My rent went up. Coffee place always goes up every half a year. So I used to feel guilty and I got used to it. And then all what I can do is just to help others to understand it. You don't have to live in a lie. You don't have to live in a world where everything gets more expensive. All you need to do is just to understand and study Bitcoin and just opt out from this system. It's not like it will fall in price. The housing or scooters or food, it is falling in price, and it has been falling in price in the last 16 years, and it will keep on falling. So all I can do is just to orange pill somebody or help them to guide them. So every single payment I make, I just jokingly, without any effort, say, hey, can I pay in Bitcoin? And only maybe 2 people out of 50 will say, oh, Bitcoin? Yeah, I have some Bitcoin. And then I start talking about the Bitcoin House or inflation, right? Or I just ask people, I ask them, hey, have you noticed inflation? Everything gets more expensive. Oh, yeah, everything is getting more expensive. And then I ask them, but why is that? And then we start talking and we meet them where they are at in terms of Bitcoin kind of adoption, orange pilling. So, hey, the system is unfair, right? The sooner I accept it, easier my life will be. But now I just need to encourage people to learn what is money, where money comes from, what is it backed by. We have sound money backed by energy, and then we have pieces of paper from the governments that people still believe have value. So slowly, and then I feel less guilty by spending time. So it is what it is, and we're changing the world just one meetup at a time, one conversation at a time, and it just becomes better as a result.
And I think it's also that moment, the truth in life, that focus on what you can control. And the moment that you're outside of that remit, you're stressing yourself out about stuff that is literally impossible to change. So there's no point dwelling on it, essentially. And I think that the flip side of that is that you're spending your time and energy on something productive that will actually help people. So there's no, that's an excellent trade as well. I'd love to, do you have another 5 minutes? Awesome. So over the years, I've never actually met and hung out with many people from Lithuania. So I would just love to learn a bit more about your home country. What is life like in Lithuania? And is Bitcoin relevant there? Why did you decide to leave? And yeah, just a bit of a summary on what it's like.
Great. So I love Lithuania. I miss it. I'm flying there on Sunday.
Cool.
And
have fun.
It should be nice. I see my parents, my brothers. I was invited to this Lithuanian Bitcoin toxic maximalist community.
Cool.
Shout out to David. He invited me, and I cannot wait to catch up with him in Latvia at Baltic Honey Badger. Every Bitcoin Maxi from Lithuania in that Telegram chat going to the conference. Yeah, I mean, I've been away from Lithuania for the last 10 years, actually now 14 years, and it has changed a lot. Lithuania is great. It has had a lot of growth from, it used to be post-Soviet country. We gained independence years ago. And there was a big growth when free market opens up. When free market is opened from communism to more like democracy and free market, there's a lot of growth in terms of, so you can see that it's just very advanced. We're very good at IT. There's hosting. There's most of the VPN that people use across the world comes from Lithuania, actually, even in different brands, right? So yeah, we're just very good at laser technology. Quality of life is getting better. Bitcoin communities are popping up as well, and yeah, I'll see how it has changed when I go there on Sunday. And yeah, I can't wait to meet the new Bitcoiners as well, because when I was there was no Bitcoiners, or at least the ones that I didn't know there was. So I cannot wait to see and hang out with them in Latvia, which is next door.
And is it on the euro?
Yeah. So we have euro.
Okay.
Yeah. In my lifetime, there's 3 currencies that has changed. It's a post-Soviet country, so we had ruble over there before it collapsed. Then we had litas, which is a Lithuanian litas, Litas, and then euro came in. I don't remember when it was, 2007, or I don't remember, but it's a third currency, and it has lost 40% since the token launch, right? So
wow,
EUR token launched, and it has lost 40% value against dollar alone. But not to mention Bitcoin is 99%.
So the euro is 40% down against the dollar since 2007, yes. And the dollar is at least 40% down against itself since 2020. Wow, that's wild.
Crazy, right? Everything is down 99% against Bitcoin. So yeah, just
and
better
then throw
to hold.
Bitcoin in the mix as the exchange rate. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
And you're seeing some grassroots Bitcoin adoption in Lithuania happen as well.
Yeah, actually, there's no such thing as Bitcoin House Lithuania yet.
Mm.
Wait a minute. Actually, my father has a little real estate. Maybe we should turn it. It's actually, there's no tenants in there at the moment. It would be like a Bitcoin
And that's
basement,
literally
actually.
how these things start, right? It's just random
Yes,
ideas.
yes,
Like,
yes.
oh, cool.
Yeah, because we have it basically this little house, which is kind of not at the best condition, but we have tenants there. Actually, no tenants at the moment, but we're looking for tenants. So let's see if we find the tenants. If not, maybe it will be Bitcoin basement. Let's have a look. I'll have a look. What's it like? So yeah, but it's good to see that there's some toxic maxis in Lithuania, and because look, everybody's hurting, right? Inflation is everywhere, and communities. Somehow people want belonging and they want community. And somebody told me the other day that more men go to church these days, and I think that Bitcoin actually is a little bit like it gives a sense of community. It gives good values. Theft is not good. Eat healthy, family oriented. We talked about kids before we hit record, and I think it's just a Bitcoin thing as well. To have kids and family and low time preference, eat healthy, go to the gym, get some vitamin D from the sunlight, and just be happy. So yeah, it's great to see movements and conferences and Bitcoin houses coming up. So anybody listening, yeah, see you in Bali. There's a Bitcoin week taking place in a month or so, and yeah, just nice to spend time with Bitcoiners as always.
Yeah, as always. What a great note to finish it up on. KeyPleb, thanks so much for your time today. If anyone wants to reach out and get in touch, what's the best way to do that?
Right, Code Orange Devs on X. We have GitHub as well, and on Instagram as well. So Code Orange Devs, and join our workshops. Vibe coding on Nostr starts in September.
Wow.
There's more workshops we have, and yeah, just keep an eye on the website, which is codeorange.dev. I'll see you on Discord.
I'd love to see what comes out of that. If I could throw an idea in the mix for that cohort, is there is a new feature that Primal have brought out called their Studio. So studio.primal.net. And it has some cool stuff where you can start to pull RSS feeds from Substack or from Ghost or WordPress, and you can start cross-posting long-form blog articles straight onto Nostr. It also has a scheduling tool and potentially a way to host media like a Nostr.build, but they haven't yet got the video side of it sorted out. I would love to see, as a podcast creator, a buffer or a Hootsuite type product on Nostr, and I would pay you if you built it for sure.
Oh,
In that I'm already a paying customer of Nostr.build, which is where I'm hosting all of the video and podcast content, but it isn't able to schedule posts for me. And there's not an easy way of sharing an NSEC between me, my producer, and editor. So there's a number of different tools that just haven't yet been built on Nostr. So if you want any ideas for people to work on, give us a shout. Maybe we could even do a podcast with a few people and do a mastermind or something. But KeyPleb, thanks so much for your time today. Awesome.
pleasure. See you later.
Well done on episode 1. Loved it.
Nice.